Death by dessert. On February 12, 1771, King Adolf Frederick of Sweden had a very large meal. He ate lobster, caviar, sauerkraut, and drank champagne. But the most dangerous part came next. He ate 7 servings of his favorite dessert.
Jelly belly? You got jelly in your belly, you little fat
A semla, which is a sweet bun filled with almond paste and cream. After this huge meal, the king had a heart attack and died. People often say he died from indigestion, but it was probably his heart that could not handle so much food. Killed by a pig. King Philip I of France, who ruled from 1060 to 1008, is famous for many things, including his long reign and controversial personal life. But his death is remembered because of a bizarre accident. In 1108, Philip went hunting in the forest near Melun, a town southeast of Paris. During the hunt, he tried to cross a river when a wild pig attacked him. The king was reportedly bitten or gored by the pig and suffered severe injuries.
The heck? Bro, you think you're the king? I'm the king.
Unfortunately, the wounds became infected, and Philip died shortly afterward. Bitten by a monkey. King Alexander of Greece ruled from 1917 to 1920, during a turbulent period in Greek history. His death is remembered as one of the strangest in royal history. In 1920, the king was walking in the palace gardens when he was bitten by a monkey, reportedly a tame one that belonged to the palace staff. At first, the bite seemed minor, but the wound became infected. Despite medical care, the infection spread, leading to sepsis, and the young king died at the age of 27. Killed by a dead man. Sigurd the Mighty, a 9th century Norse ruler and Earl of Orkney, is remembered for a truly bizarre death. After a victorious battle against his ops, he tied the head of the defeated enemy to his saddle as a warning to others, which was a common practice among Viking warriors. However, the story takes a strange turn. As Sigurd rode, the decapitated head swung against his leg and sank his teeth into him. The wound became infected, and the Earl died from it a few days later. Killed by eels. King Henry, first of England, who ruled from 1100 to 1135, met a strange and unfortunate end that has become one of the most famous tales in royal history. Henry was known to be a strong and capable ruler. He was intelligent, ambitious, and often ruthless, but he also had a notorious weakness: his love of lampreys, a type of eel-like fish that was considered a delicacy in medieval Europe. Despite their popularity among nobles, lampreys were very rich and hard to digest. According to historians, Henry's personal doctors had repeatedly warned him to avoid eating them, fearing they would make him ill. The king, however, was stubborn and ignored their advice.
Porky, hog, fat ass, double wide, butterball.
While staying in Normandy in late 1135, he attended a grand feast and indulged himself with a large plate of his favorite dish, lampreys cooked in wine and spices. Soon after the meal, Henry became violently ill, suffering from severe stomach pains and fever. His condition worsened over the next several days, and despite the efforts of his doctors, he died on December 1st, 1135. Officially, his death was blamed on a surfeit of lampreys, in other words, eating too many of them. Crushed by own throne. King Bela I of Hungary ruled from 1060 to 1063 and is remembered for one of the most unusual deaths in medieval history. According to legend, Bela was sitting on his wooden throne when it suddenly collapsed beneath him. The heavy structure fell and crushed him, leaving him with fatal injuries. At the time, Hungary was torn by family conflict and political tension, and Bela's sudden death changed the balance of power in the kingdom. Death by life elixirs. Emperor Zhenshi Huang was the first ruler to unite China, founding the Qin dynasty in 221 BCE. He is remembered for his great achievements, like building parts of the Great Wall of China and creating the terracotta army to guard his tomb. But his death is remembered for a tragic irony. The emperor was obsessed with finding a way to live forever. He ordered his alchemists to create potions that would make him immortal. Sadly, these so-called elixirs of life often contained mercury, a toxic metal. Believing it would grant him eternal life, Zhenshi Huang regularly took these mercury pills, but instead of making him immortal, they slowly poisoned him. In 210 BCE, while traveling through eastern China, the emperor became very ill and died soon after, likely from mercury poisoning caused by his own search for immortality. Death while pooping. Emperor Caracalla ruled the Roman Empire from 198 to 217 CE. He is remembered for granting Roman citizenship to almost all free men in the empire, and for one of the most awkward royal deaths in history. While traveling through modern-day Turkey in 217 CE, Caracalla stopped by the roadside to relieve himself during a journey to visit a temple. It was there, while separated from his guards, that one of his own soldiers stabbed him to death. The assassin named Julius Martialis was reportedly angry over a personal personal insult or possibly part of a larger plot. Either way, the mighty emperor's life ended in one quick strike while he was completely unprepared, drowning in wine. George Plantagenet, Duke of Clarence, was the brother of two kings of England, Edward IV and Richard III. He was ambitious, hot-headed, and often involved in the violent politics of the Wars of the Roses. In 1478, George was convicted of treason against his brother, King Edward IV. According to legend, his execution was unusual and almost darkly humorous. He was drowned in a large barrel of wine. Some stories say it was Malmsey wine, a sweet, tortified wine popular at the time. Many accounts claim that George himself chose this method of death, requesting to be drowned in his favorite drink, birthday suit. King Wenceslaus III ruled Bohemia and briefly Hungary in the early 14th century. His reign was short and troubled, and his death was both sudden and bizarre. In 1306, Wenceslaus III was staying at a castle in Olomouc. During an attack by political enemies, he tried to escape quickly. In the rush, he reportedly fled without fully dressing, wearing only his underwear. Unfortunately, he was caught and stabbed to death before he could get away. He was only 17 years old when he died, making him the last male of the Přemyslid dynasty. His death ended his family line and left Bohemia without a clear heir, causing political instability. Blind battle. King John of Bohemia, also known as John the Blind, was one of medieval Europe's most respected rulers. Despite losing his sight years before his death, he refused to give up his role as a knight and warrior. In 1346, during the Battle of Crécy, one of the major battles of the 100 Years' War between England and France, John fought on the side of the French. Even though he was completely blind, he insisted on riding into battle. According to legend, John ordered his knights to tie their horses together so he could charge alongside them. He shouted, "Lead me into battle so I may strike one blow for honor." The group rode forward and fought bravely, but all were killed. When the battle ended, John's body was found still tied to his companions. His courage impressed even his enemies. The English king, Edward III, honored him by sending his armor back to Bohemia with great respect. Glass delusion. King Charles VI of France, later known as Charles the Mad, ruled during one of the most difficult periods of the 100 Years' War. His reign was marked not just by political struggles, but also by episodes of mental illness that left his court and country in chaos. Starting in his early 20s, Charles began to suffer from violent fits and delusions. In one famous episode, he came to believe that his body was made entirely of glass. Terrified that he might shatter if touched, he refused to let anyone near him and even wore special reinforced clothing to protect himself from breaking. While he didn't die because of this belief, it deeply affected his rule. His illness caused long periods when he was unable to govern, leading to power struggles among nobles and weakening France at a critical time in its history. Charles VI eventually died of natural causes in 1422. Headbutt. King Charles VIII of France ruled from 1483 to 1498. He was young, energetic, and dreamed of turning France into a great European power. But his life and reign came to a sudden, almost absurd end. In 1498, Charles was walking through his castle at Amboise to watch a game of tennis. As he passed through a low doorway, he hit his head hard on the stone lintel. At first, he seemed fine and continued on to the tennis court, but not long afterward, he collapsed and died from the injury. He was only 27 years old, shot by Nephew. On March 25, 1975, King Faisal was greeting visitors at his palace in Riyadh when his nephew, Prince Faisal bin Musaid, suddenly shot him at close range. The king died soon afterward. The motive was never fully confirmed, but many believe it was revenge. The assassin's brother had been killed by police years earlier during a protest against one of the king's reforms. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a future upload. Thanks for watching.